What would you do if you found yourself in a girl's body for one day? Well, that's exactly what we are going to find out in today's recap. Your name begins with a girl, Mitsuha, waking up from sleep. She is somehow surprised to see her body and touches herself to make sure it's reality. She then goes to eat breakfast with her grandma and sister. There, we learn that Mitsuha's mother is no more and that her dad doesn't live with them, who happens to be the mayor of the town. Now they watch the news and learn that a comet will soon fly over their town. This comet only passes once every 1200 years, so everyone in their town is excited to see it. Now, Mitsuha heads to school, and when she opens her notebook, she sees a note asking, "Who are you?" Then her teacher calls her out and asks if she remembers her name today, because yesterday she couldn't even recite her name. Mitsuha is embarrassed by this, and her friends later inform her that she forgot everything yesterday and came to school with open hair. However, Mitsuha doesn't remember anything that happened yesterday and feels like she is living in a dream. Later at night, Mitsuha and her sister perform a family ritual at the shrine. The ritual involves chewing rice and spitting it into a bottle so it can ferment and become wine over time. Mitsuha's friends also arrive at the shrine and make fun of her for performing such a ritual. That's why she is sick of these traditions and life in this village. She shouts from a cliff that she hates her life and wishes to be a hot guy in Tokyo. Her wish somehow gets fulfilled, and she wakes up in the body of a guy named Taki in Tokyo. Mitsuha is shocked to see herself in a guy's body and heads to school. There she is unable to recognize anyone, but one of Taki's friends recognizes her. All of them go to a cafe and Mitsuha is overjoyed to hang out, as cafe and restaurants are unavailable in her town. Just then she receives a text on the phone stating that he is late for work. Mitsuha realizes that he needs to attend Taki's job as well, and she heads to the restaurant where Taki works. However, she doesn't know anything about working in the restaurant and messes up all the orders. Despite all the chaos, Mitsuha seems to enjoy the lifestyle of Tokyo. Before going to sleep, she writes her name Mitsuha on her hand. This is a reply to the person who wrote "Who are you?" in her notebook at school. The following day, she wakes up and finds herself in her real body. She doesn't remember anything about yesterday, but feels that she just lived a beautiful dream. On the other hand, Taki wakes up in his real body too, and finds the name Mitsuha written on his hand. He too doesn't remember anything about yesterday, and here it is revealed that when they go to sleep, their bodies get switched. It means Taki, who lives in Tokyo, finds himself in Mitsuha's body, who lives in a rural town, and Mitsuha finds herself in Taki's body. Nobody knows why this is happening, but it keeps going on. As time passes by, Mitsuha and Taki realize that they switch bodies with each other as people around constantly make them realize that they act differently on different days. Now they get accustomed to this phenomenon and start writing notes and instructions for each other. One of the rules is that they will not take a bath in each other's body, and they'll also refrain from touching their bodies. Safe to say that Taki didn't refrain at all, as he was training his hands every day, and according to research studies, Mitsuha probably beat the meat whenever she could. Now, since they don't remember anything after they wake up, they tell each other what they did during the day via photos and videos they record on their cell phones. Now, the scene shifts to the day when the comet will pass through Mitsuha's town. Taki sees that he is supposed to go on a date with his co-worker, Miss Okudera, which was actually arranged by Mitsuha when she was in his body. Miss Okudera is Taki's crush, so he is nervous to go on a date with her. But since he woke up in his own body today, he'll have to go on a date. On the other hand, tears roll out of Mitsuha's eyes as she is starting to like Taki. Then Taki and Okudera spend the day together, and when they were about to leave, Okudera says that Taki didn't feel like himself today. His personality wasn't like the day he asked her out on a date. Now Taki reads the notes on his cell phone, in which Mitsuha tells him to look at the sky as the comet will be passing anytime soon. However, Taki doesn't see any comet, and he calls Mitsuha, but she's unreachable. On the other hand, Mitsuha is ready to witness the comet, which unfortunately splits into two, and the scene ends there. The scene then shifts to Taki, who has been in his own body for several days. Mitsuha has stopped showing up in his body, and he is sad because of it. He doesn't remember the name of Mitsuha's town, so he draws a sketch of the town from her memory and starts looking for it. He leaves with his two friends and starts looking for the town that looks like his sketch, but the town is nowhere to be found. He is about to give up when the chef of the restaurant they are eating at recognizes the sketch. He tells them that the sketch is of a town named Itomori, and he was born there. When Taki expresses his desire of going there, the chef is shocked as he reveals that Itomori was destroyed by a comet 3 years ago, and all the people of the town died in the tragedy. Unable to get a hold of the situation, Taki rushes to Itomori, only to find the crater where the comet hit. He can't believe his eyes and returns to Tokyo. He starts researching the comet incident and looks at the list of people who died there. Taki is stunned to find Mitsuha's name on the list and later sees that there are no notes from Mitsuha on his phone. He begins to believe that everything he saw was a dream, or rather an imagination. Now, Miss Okudera visits Taki, and while talking to him, she notices the ribbon on his hand. Taki reveals that he met a random girl 3 years ago and she gave this to him. He has kept this with him since as a lucky charm. The following morning, Taki leaves a note behind for his friends, stating that he will be back soon and heads to Itomori again. He visits the shrine where Mitsuha and her sister performed the ritual. So far, he was thinking that this is all in his imagination, but when he sees the shrine, he realizes it's real. The only difference is that Taki is living in 2016, whereas Mitsuha is in 2013. This is also the reason Mitsuha's cell phone was unreachable when he called her. He picks up the bottle in which Mitsuha performed the ritual and drinks the wine. As soon as he does that, all his memories of Mitsuha return, and he remembers that Mitsuha traveled to Tokyo on the day that the comet struck Itomori. But Taki didn't recognize her because it was 2013, and he was yet to meet Mitsuha in 2016. There, Mitsuha gave Taki her ribbon, which he wears till the day as a good luck charm. When Taki didn't recognize Mitsuha in 2013, she was disheartened and came back to Itomori. Unfortunately, the comet split in two that day and landed on Itomori, destroying the town and killing all the people, including Mitsuha. When Taki wakes up after drinking the wine, he finally finds himself in Mitsuha's body again, and tears of joy roll out of his eyes. He learns that this is the day when the comet will hit Itomori and makes up his mind of saving everyone. Then, Taki realizes that since he is in Mitsuha's body, she must be in his body at the shrine. He immediately rushes to the shrine and his theory turns out to be true, as Mitsuha wakes up in Taki's body at the shrine. When she looks at Itomori, she only sees a crater as Taki's body is in 2016. Just then, she hears Taki's voice who is looking for her. They finally meet each other, but they can't see one another as their bodies are still in different time zones. However, when the sun sets, they begin to see each other as, according to Japanese culture, unfathomable things can be seen during the evening. As they are over the moon to see each other, they notice that the comet is approaching Itomori. They also return to their respective bodies. Taki writes his name on Mitsuha's hand in order to remember each other. But when Mitsuha attempts to write her name, the hour ends and he goes back to his time in 2016. Taki then tries to write Mitsuha's name on his hand, but he has already forgotten everything. He only remembers that he is there to save someone. Meanwhile, Mitsuha rushes to warn everyone in the town. When she accidentally falls, we see that Taki didn't write his name on her hand. He rather wrote, "I love you." Then she takes help from her father and evacuates the town before the comet strikes. The town gets destroyed, but not even a single life is lost. On the other hand, Taki returns to Tokyo and starts living his life normally. 4 years pass by and he doesn't remember anything about Mitsuha. However, he always feels lost and longed for someone. Mitsuha has settled in Tokyo too, and she also feels lost. One day, when both of them are traveling by train, they see each other and immediately realize that this is what they have been searching for all this while. They get off their trains and start looking for each other like crazy. When they finally come across each other on a staircase, Taki gathers courage and asks if they know each other. Mitsuha turns around with eyes full of tears and confesses that she feels the same. Then they tell each other their names and the movie ends there. That was it for the recap, guys. Let us know in the comments if you like it. Also, subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more recaps like this. Thanks for watching Anime Reborn, and we'll see you guys in the next video.